Welcome to Third Eye Weekly. With us is Paul Kermizian, the co-owner of Barcade, which for those who don't know, Barcade has classic old school arcade games with craft beer. Thank you for joining us.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
All right, so we thought we'd start off first with just getting to know maybe some of your childhood favorite arcade games that you love to play at your bars.
Yeah, well, so like I was like the golden age of like of video games is early 80s, and I
Yeah.
guess like 1982 is like the
Mhm.
peak year considered to be. So I was like 8. I was 8 then, so um I was very into games, and I was like the little guy at the arcade usually. So couldn't play stuff usually like Joust or Tempest. There's always like a guy in a Rush jacket, denim jacket, playing one of those.
Yeah.
So like I was into, and I was mostly into like kind of the goofier, more cartoony games. So like I
Okay.
liked Qbert a lot, and Dig Dug, Mappy.
Mappy. Yeah, we
Yeah.
were reading some. What is Mappy?
Mappy was like it's like a game where you're a mouse cop, and you are in a kind of scrolling board, scrolling game with trampolines, and you're trying to evade cats
Nice.
who are thieves, and you're recovering stolen goods, and it's got a ragtime theme, which
Oh,
is
yeah, kind
so
of like a Robin Hood.
yeah, it's
Mouse.
it's a really strange game. It was like a huge game in Japan, and Namco had made it, and uh, you know, I think Bally Midway, and Atari were kind of fighting over Namco titles because they kept having so many hits in a row,
Mm.
and they fought over that one, and Midway got it, and it was a bomb here. So
Nice.
yeah,
So do you actually have Mappy in one of your barcade
yeah,
locations?
we have it in Jersey City.
Okay.
So
Yeah. How
then-
hard is it for you to find these like early 80s games? Because I feel like I see the 90s ones. They're
Yeah.
pretty easy to find, but
For us, it's not so hard, but
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you don't see them like commonly anywhere. I mean, we buy from a lot of collectors, and we'll buy directly from operators and from guys who clean out operators and have warehouses or barns full of games and stuff.
Wow.
So yeah, so I mean, for us, we've been doing this for a long time, so like we have a lot of connections that other
Yeah.
people maybe don't. So.
sure.
So yeah, I mean, we're pretty much at this point. I feel confident that if any game we wanted to find, except for like there's obviously a list of like 20 or so games that are like the rarest in history.
Right.
But apart from those, we could pretty much.
What's an example of like one of those like that you would really want, but that's just impossible to find?
But I mean, we don't really even want those.
Okay.
It's not even
They're too
Nobody-
obscure.
Well, yeah, you spend $10,000 on a game to put it on the floor and have someone spill beer into the
Yeah.
joystick or into the controls. And,
Yeah. Like-
yeah, so I mean, we've spent a good amount on certain games that we really wanted, but yeah, a lot of times some of the weirder games that are really cool to collect are maybe not ones we want to have on the floor. Like, we have some on the floor even right now that I get nervous about having.
Right.
So, just people that can't control themselves.
How often
Few
does
drinks,
that happen where like someone just spills a beer on one of the games?
all day.
All day.
Yeah, all day.
Jesus.
You just have somebody watching, a man watching.
Yeah, we have to have, it's like, so like in a regular bar situation, most bartenders are accustomed to working in a bar and being the only employee there. They're running the whole place.
Yeah.
But we really have to have a manager on duty all the time, walking the floor and dealing with the game. Not only the games, but our craft beer program, unlike a lot of bars. I mean, more bars do it this way now, but when we opened, it was less common that a beer kicked and we would just tap a whole different beer and change our menu.
Mhm.
Where a lot of places back then would either be running the same beer all the time, or they would just consider the tap off for the night and they change it for the next day.
Right.
But we have like a running tap list that just changes throughout the night. So manager has to be on duty to do that, and really to deal with the games, because beer spills, quarter jams, joysticks, buttons, all that stuff gets fixed like on the fly while we're open. So,
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So if you're in a barcade location and game takes your quarter or button doesn't work, go find a manager. They'll fix it right
They'll
there.
take care
They'll
of
give
it.
you
Good advice.
give you some quarters for your trouble.
Nice.
We like that. We want people to tell us when a game's. It used to be more common that people would do that. Now it's like people instead they go on Yelp right there, like
Shitty
took
review.
game took my quarter. So just go talk to somebody right there.
Actually interface with somebody.
Yeah.
So you had a big game collection yourself, and then you also did a road trip, right, for your documentary. Were those two like the fueling factors to create Barcade?
Yeah, kind of. I was like working as a filmmaker, and I directed a documentary about the craft beer industry in the United States. And after having done that, went back to working in film production. You can't make a living. It's hard, really hard. You can. It's not possible, but it's really hard to make a living as an independent filmmaker. So I was working in production as like a production manager and line producer and stuff. And so the film really, the small business aspect of the breweries was really inspiring for me, making the film and thinking like, well, I could, we could open a bar or something to have like a steady gig, and I could be more choosy about, how I make a living, and I could be a filmmaker and have a bar on the side. So that was kind of the business aspect of the breweries inspired Barcade for sure. And then, having been a craft beer fan for a long time, we knew we were going to serve craft beer and American beer. So so that was right away. And then I was a collector of games. I had like 4 games in my apartment. That grew to like 35 games up to the point where we opened the bar. We just kept buying games and shoving them in my apartment for about a year.
How'd you fit all them in your apartment?
You couldn't really. My poor dog could walk from the living room to like the front door, and then you could get to the kitchen and bathroom. But otherwise, it was just a maze of games in my apartment. Yeah. It's like a loft style place, so open. It was like an open space.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think it's great that you guys do have such a careful eye for the selection of craft beer that you choose, because you really, I feel, wouldn't have to necessarily, because the pull is going to be, oh, it's Barcade, we're going to go play these old games, but then you have such good beer, it's like, you really can't.
We really shouldn't. I mean, based on like the response, our customer response over the years, like, we really shouldn't bother with the craft beer, because it would have been a lot easier to not have craft beer. We've spent 10 years, and 11 years, trying to deal with people on Friday and Saturday nights, particularly that we don't have Michelob Ultra or whatever the thing. I know that people don't ask for that anymore, but over the years, it's evolves what people come in and they're like 4 Stellas or 4, they have to go through the whole thing. It would have been a lot easier, and we would have made a lot more money because markup is obviously better on macro beer, but we've been committed to craft beer from the beginning, and it's been fun, and we're just into it. I mean, just like we're into the games. It's just you don't do a business like this. We didn't do a business like this to, get rich. I mean, we did it because we just wanted to open a bar and have fun.
Totally.
And just make a living, basically.
Yeah.
And where do you guys get the craft beer in Brooklyn, or do you guys have specific sort of micro breweries that you guys are looking at?
Well, yeah, I mean, we the system that's in place for for bars, for people with a liquor license to buy, you have to buy through a distributor typically. So it's like a tiered, they call it a tiered system. So it's like you have to buy. We don't buy very often directly from breweries. We'll buy through a distributor. They may have a portfolio of 30 breweries. So, we had our 10th anniversary in Brooklyn last year, and we printed out our day one beer menu for people and brought it out to the bar. And it was funny because it's like looking at the selection, and it was fine, but it was very hard to rotate 24, 25 beers back then, because there weren't that many. There were a lot of craft breweries, but there weren't that many available in New York City. The breweries didn't have that wide a variety of styles, and so now it's just I can't even keep up.
Wow.
It's like 10 breweries open a week, it seems like.
Yeah, and then you started out in Williamsburg back in 2004 when it was kind of a sketchy place to
we were on the
start
second stop of the L train, so not on the Bedford area. So my partners and I were all kind of living over there, so we wanted to open a bar that was within stumbling distance.
Yeah. And you guys acted as bouncers back then too.
We did everything. Yeah. We were bartended and we had some bartenders, but we were the managers and we ran everything. We were always there. So
great.
Awesome. And back to your 10th anniversary, I was reading you guys had an aged Rasputin beer. How did that?
Yeah, we did. We had it from the first year.
Yeah,
it was 10 years old.
How did that come out? Because I know sometimes aging beers is a little bit, it can be hit or miss.
It can be hit or miss. Imperial Stout and barley wine are the safest beers you can age. So, and a brewery like North Coast, who has a great quality control program. I mean, I can't remember opening a bottle of beer from them that was bad, no matter how long I aged it. So it's you have to pick the right breweries to age something like that, and pick the right style.
Sure.
So I was pretty confident it was going to be good, and it was really good.
Awesome. Yeah. So what's your favorite?
It's funny, it was on tap for a while.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty old, and I think some people have an idea of well, if it's a vintage from 1 or 2 years ago, but like to see a beer that was 10 years old, I was surprised. We had it up for about 6 days, I think.
Wow.
So I think it's maybe spooked some people. I don't know.
I'm not touching that.
But it was great. There's more for me. I drank it every day.
Hey, I would too. Yeah. So I guess what's your favorite beer that you have on tap currently, and what's your favorite game that you have?
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to keep track of the beer these days for me. I went from being the one who ordered every keg and that we had to now we have 5 locations and we're going to have 7 not that long, and it's just impossible now to keep track of. We have like a dedicated beer manager at each location, doing what I used to do. And there was a time, even when we had 3 locations, where I pretty much tried every beer we had tapped.
Yeah.
But that went away quite a while ago.
Yeah.
So it's hard to keep track. I was really excited when Bell's came into New York. So that's like one of my favorite breweries.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, we have 2 Arden on a lot, so I kind of drink that a lot.
Excellent.
That's on right now around the corner. So, and we have our first anniversary in Chelsea coming up next week, and we'll have a week from today. We'll have I don't know when this is going to be. When is this going to?
1 week.
A week from today.
Oh, so today it's today.
It's today.
So we're going to have a pretty awesome lineup of beers from a lot of like our favorite breweries that we always have stuff from, like Dogfish Head and Harpoon and Victory, 6 Point, Brooklyn, but some cool stuff. We'll have Mexican Chocolate Cake by Westbrook Brewing, which is a cool beer, and some oddities like that. So
at the Chelsea Arcade next week,
Thursday. The 19th?
Yeah.
No. Sorry, Wednesday the 17th.
Wednesday.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, Wednesday the 17th.
Okay.
Excellent.
Right,
and
cool.
you guys mentioned you have almost 7 locations now. Do you guys plan on opening up any locations in other parts of the country at some point?
Yeah, we're opening one now. We're working on a location in Connecticut, in New Haven, and then after that, we're opening in LA.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Nice. So do you guys have like your side jobs anymore, or is
Oh,
this like
God,
full time?
no.
Right?
No, that went away a long time ago.
Yeah. So you guys are all full on in the barcade.
Yeah, we're all full-time
Nice.
employees.
That's
yeah.
great.
It's a good life.
That's
Yeah, it's
fun.
been fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was unexpected. So,
Excellent.
cool.
Well, hey, thanks for joining us today. That's all
Yeah.
the questions we have for you.
all right. That's
Thank
it.
you.
Pleasure talking with you.
All right. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Great.